How's the punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. We've got quite an action-packed episode today with regards to some of the results over the weekend. We had a pretty decent kind of betting results from our last podcast as well. And we're going to be taking a look at some of the EPL, a quick look at the Champions League. We're going to take a look at the T20 as well, and then a little glance over at some Formula 1 and some rugby. Let's jump into the weekend, Simon. It was an interesting set of results coming out of the EPL. Definitely a weekend for the bookmakers.
It was. I mean, I think the biggest shock of the weekend undoubtedly would be Man City's 2-0 loss against Palace, which if
Massive.
I don't recall, they were 1.12, so just over 1 to 10 favourites to win that match. And I mean, the Londoners went up a goal after 6 minutes with Wilfred Zaha netting one. And then City got a red card. I think it was Laporte who got a red card for City at the end of the first half, and they just weren't able to get back in the game. And then there was another late goal from Palace, which ended in a 2-0 win. So that was I kind of wish that could have been in front of even though it's more impressive that happened away from home. I would have loved to have seen that win in front of a jam-packed Selhurst Park with thousands of Palace fans. Watching that win. It was quite something.
Yeah, Palace, as I said in the last episode, been looking good over the last couple of weeks. Just haven't
Yeah,
picked up any wins, and big surprise that one. I think that busted
absolutely.
many coupons. I think there were a lot of punters
Yeah.
crying about that one, and then I think punters also crying about Liverpool surrendering a lead to Brighton, drawing 2-2 at home. Another coupon buster right there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've said it time and time again, and I think Brighton are a tough side to break down, especially at home. But yeah, I think everyone would have expected Liverpool to get the 3 points there, regardless.
And then Arsenal beating Leicester, one that I fancied Arsenal for a result. I didn't see them winning 2-0 there. And then we had Newcastle going down as we predicted pretty badly to Chelsea, 3-0 win there for Chelsea. I think you liked Chelsea to keep a clean sheet or
Yeah,
minus one.
I liked both those bets. So yeah, both those selections came in thankfully. So yeah, I mean Chelsea -1 obviously came in as well as Chelsea keeping a clean sheet. So those were the two picks I fancied. I said either of those two look pretty good, both over even money. So yeah, that came in quite nicely. I mean the tune were terrible. I mean they've got 20% possession, and their passing accuracy was also just really bad. And when you're playing Chelsea, I mean, a team that's so good at holding the ball, you can't expect to stand a chance if your passing is so poor in possession. So it really bad. I mean, it seems to get worse from week to week. So as I
Yeah,
said again last week, I just really can't wait till January because we really need to make some signings.
yeah, need yeah. So Bruce is gone, so
Yeah,
it's gonna need a big shift over there. But pretty
absolutely.
easy win for Chelsea. We really fancy Chelsea in that one. That was pretty easy money, especially just how far in the rat. They're probably one of the worst teams in the Premier League at the moment, Newcastle, if
Absolutely.
not the
But
worst.
one thing I certainly was completely off the ball on was United.
Mm.
I mean, they did to me what I thought was a little bit of the unthinkable and won 3-0 against Spurs. And I really didn't fancy United, especially as favourites. I just didn't think that they had the sort of bounce back quality that they did show, and obviously got all 3 points quite convincingly. So that was a very good performance from
Yeah,
United.
I think it was more of a case of Spurs just being utter shit. I mean, they've sacked
Mm,
Santo now, so
yeah.
they're looking at, I think, Conte, or there's going to be a new manager. They're just in trouble at the moment. Looks just looking at the news reports, does look like Conte is probably going to be the new manager. Unfortunately, we didn't get him at Newcastle, which is something that I would
Yeah.
have liked.
That would have been fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, would have been awesome. But yeah, Spurs in all sorts of trouble at the moment. Good to see United bouncing back, especially after their drubbing by Liverpool. And I guess they can't feel too bad about that now. Look, it was a pretty horrifying result for them. But
Mm,
Liverpool dropping points on the weekend, Man United
yeah.
picking up points on the road to Spurs. So kind of making up
Yeah,
for
catching
that.
some ground there, sure.
Yeah, that loss wasn't as bad as it was as bad as it's made out to be. But at the end of the day, still light at the end of the tunnel for United, and we might see them manage to stick around a little longer. Then let's jump over to the T20, Simon. We had quite an
Mm,
interesting weekend there. We had, or week, should I say. I think
yeah,
the big talking point is India losing to New Zealand. They've lost 2 games now. They're pretty much out of the tournament, really.
sure. I mean, it really was a hammering too. I must say, I watched the game from beginning to end, and I kept kept waiting for India to find something, and I mean they got hammered by 8 wickets as a tournament favourites. To be one from 3 matches is really not good. And I'll tell you what, they face Afghanistan next, and that's obviously an absolute must win. But they won't be a walkover. I really don't. I mean, the odds obviously suggest that they've got a very, very good chance of beating Afghanistan, but they're certainly Afghanistan are not a team to be sniggered at. Also, I mean, England made light work of Australia. Sure, they only the Aussies put up 125, which was obviously
Just
not
not
not going to
defendable.
be not really a defendable innings total. But I think England and Pakistan look the most dangerous teams to me so far in the tournament.
Yeah, Pakistan dangerous, but it's Pakistan. You never know what's going to happen with them. They can,
Mm,
well, they can collapse at any point. Whereas I feel England are very consistent.
sure.
I think they, well, definitely favourites now for the tournament, and
Yeah.
we'll chat a bit about the upcoming fixtures. But South Africa beat Sri Lanka, so good win for us there.
Yeah, I mean, Sri Lanka posted 142, which I think they probably would have thought was okay. Not the best. I think probably would have looked 160 would have probably been a bit more competitive, but 142 is not too bad. But yeah, South Africa lost quite a few early wickets, but Bavuma managed to kind of steady the innings. But I must say, with about 4 overs to go, I didn't really fancy our chances. It looked like we were getting behind on the run rate, but Rabada and Miller, who obviously both can certainly bat when they're in the mood to, managed to hit a few boundaries towards the end and steer us to
Yeah,
a
I
narrow
think I
victory.
think it was I think we pretty much won it in those last couple of overs from. I
Absolutely,
wasn't
yeah.
watching unfortunately, but
Well, the run rate went from about 12-13 down to 6-7, and then it was on right at the end for sure. But they certainly Rabada and Miller certainly saved it for us.
and I'm glad we're doing all right in the tournament, especially after the whole Quinton de Kock who ended up
Mm,
taking a knee.
yeah.
Um, so it bodes well. I don't think we're gonna be able to compete with the likes of even India or England, Australia.
Mm,
It's going to be a little difficult. We've got South Africa taking on Bangladesh, which we'll talk about in a bit. But
yeah.
well, actually, let's just jump straight into I think
Sure.
the upcoming T20. The two fixtures I've got here is both South African and South Africa versus Bangladesh. It's a kind of tricky one for South Africa in the sense Bangladesh they're not great, but uh, you should be careful if you're going to underestimate them.
Sure. I mean, they certainly look like they've underperformed in this tournament. But look, I mean, as we've discussed before so many times, T20, especially in the short term, it can be a bit of a coin flip. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bangladesh are at least very competitive today. Look, we are very strong favorites. I think it's 1.25, one over four favorites. So we favored to win it, but I'm not 100% sure whether we should feel that confident. But yeah, look, I mean, we essentially want to end up ahead of Australia in that top two. So it's a match which we really should win, and I guess should see it as an opportunity to pick up some fairly easy points.
And I'm just looking on GBets. I'm not seeing any handicap bets, and I'm not sure if many bookies are offering those. But I think I might want to take a handicap bet if I can find one on Bangladesh there.
Hmm.
I think they're gonna lose. I feel we're
Plus
gonna
the
win,
wickets or the runs.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take some runs or wickets over there. Then we have Pakistan versus Namibia. We're not gonna jump into those kind of nothing fixtures. New Zealand versus Scotland on Wednesday, also a
Mm.
nothing fixture. We've got India Afghanistan, which there might be some value putting India into your accumulators at 1.21. I mean, as you said, it's a must-win match for them.
Yeah.
Maybe South Africa. I think I'll put South Africa and I'll put India into an accumulator or double over here. And then we have West Indies versus Sri Lanka. I don't want to pick a side there, so
I actually fancy Sri Lanka there. I must say, I think West Indies have looked pretty bad. I've watched both their matches, and I don't think they look great. I think Sri Lanka they've got some great players actually. If one or two of them can come through, they can. I think this should be priced at more about 1.9 a side. Yeah, I certainly fancy Sri Lanka there.
and then on I think it's Saturday or Sunday we've got England versus South Africa. That's going to be a good game. For us at least, it's I don't think we're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, this is one I've been trying to think. Obviously, we don't have any odds yet. I
I,
mean, it's
I,
definitely the
I'm going to say it's going to be 1.5 on England around there.
okay. Well, I was going to say 1.6. So look, it obviously will depend a little bit on what happens against Bangladesh, but not much. It's not going to have too much influence on the odds. But look, England will definitely be favourites. My guess is six to ten. Your guess is 5 to 10. I mean, barring something crazy happening against Bangladesh, I think that's about what we're looking at. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be, I think, South Africa's toughest encounter yet. I mean, obviously Australia was another one, but I think this is certainly the match of the week. I think
Yeah.
most punters will have their eyes on this match, and it should be a good one to watch for
Yeah, I'm
sure.
just not overly excited about this week of cricket, just with the fixtures. I'm more
Mm,
looking forward to the weekend, as you said. That's the highlight of the card.
yeah,
There's really not much else on. That's maybe West Indies, Sri Lanka, but I'm not too interested in either of the sides. I think they're kind of also rans. They're not quite in the same pedigree as South Africa. Not that that's saying much, but yeah, it should be an interesting week cricket. I'm going to take those two in and accumulate to South Africa and India,
India.
and I think
Hmm.
I'll add some Premier League bets to that in a bit. Champions League's taking place tonight as well, and tomorrow I am not overly involved in any Champions League betting. I didn't see too much value on the card. Maybe with United if you're feeling a bit brave against Atalanta.
Mm.
Juventus 1.54s did stand out against Zenit. Other than that, not much.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously a few teams kind of fighting for their last chance to progress, but it looks again a bit lopsided. I mean, 2 weeks ago we had pretty much all the favorites winning on both days. Wouldn't really be surprised if we see something pretty similar this week. Not too many intriguing looking encounters, I don't think. Obviously, yeah, as you said, United visiting Atlanta, they came back from 2-0 down to win at home last time. And obviously they will have some confidence after thrashing Spurs over the weekend, but not too sure about any value in that one. Barca going to Ukraine to face Dynamo Kiev.
Just don't
Funny enough,
trust Barca at the moment.
yeah, I mean they're on a three-match streak with no wins, and despite playing two of those games at home, so yeah, they really are patchy at the moment. I mean, you would expect them to get the job done, but I
Yeah.
certainly wouldn't chance it at odds of about 7 to 10.
Yeah, Eastern Europe's not an easy place to go. Look, teams usually
No.
grind out wins there, but if there's one place where the Eastern European and Russian side, not that Kiev's in Russia, but what they focus on is just getting results at home, and that's generally what they're decent at. But
Yeah.
Barca, they could pick up a result against Barca, but Barca could also beat them easily there, on paper. That's
Yeah.
why I'm just going to stay away from that one. What I do think is probably the best match from a viewer's perspective is probably going to be the Liverpool Atletico game
Mm.
tomorrow night. Liverpool are 1.7 against Atletico.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Liverpool 5 points clear at the top of the group, so you got to imagine it's not really the most important game for them. But at the same time, Atletico, Atletico have Porto breathing down their neck in that group. So I think Porto Atletico will really bring everything to this game. I mean, Liverpool haven't lost actually since July. So they really are on a good run. But yeah, I think that Atletico have a lot more to play for in this match, but I'm not sure where I would attack this from a betting
Yeah, I
perspective.
don't see Liverpool losing at home. Those odds on Liverpool are tempting. I think I might draw no bet. I might put a draw no bet into that accumulator. Liverpool draw no bet. I think both teams to
Mm,
score is probably a good shot there. 1.77, not bad. So
mm.
might have a little sprinkle on that one. But for now, I'm just going to add the draw no bet to my bet slip. Let's jump over to some Premier League this weekend. We've got a cracker of, well, I don't want to say a cracker of lineup. We've got one of the most anticipated matches, the
Yeah.
Manchester Derby. I think let's start off there. United hosting City.
Mm.
City are 1.79, 1.8 away from home. United, heavy underdogs here. I, I, I like United to get a result here, though, as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's the first thing I'll say here is, I mean, I think there'll be a lot of United fans jumping on this price of around 4.4. You could probably get even bigger than that if you looked around. Um, Look, I mean, I'm certainly not running to back City at 8 to 10, but I also wonder if this price on City wouldn't be even smaller if they hadn't lost to Palace on the
Mm.
weekend and to West Ham in the EFL Cup in midweek. That was on
And
Wednesday.
United hadn't smashed Spurs.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. This is one of those ones I could almost look back. I could imagine looking back in hindsight and saying that was actually a steal on City.
Yeah.
Honestly. But at the same time, it's a derby. I don't know. It's a tough one to call. But at the same time, I just feel like backing United here. there seems to be value. I just feel like it's not the right call from my perspective. But
I don't see too many goals in this one, crazy as it sounds. I think the last few have been kind of pretty dull affairs, and that under 2.5 at
yes,
2.19 does appeal somewhat.
yes. I mean, look, the over 2.5, well, yeah, the over 2.5 and the both teams to score both very, very short, which means obviously, you're getting well over even money on under 2.5 and both teams not to score. I think this match is one that would be nice to wait for the lineups. I think it's going to come down to how Solskjaer sort of sets up his team. I
Mm.
mean, we know that Pep won't hold back. I think, yeah, I think it's one to wait for. I must say, I find it hard to find a bet in this match, but I quite like City to win to nil as a sort of speculative bet at odds of 3.4. But that's by no means a confident pick. But I must say, I'm not backing United here. I don't think there's great odds on City, but at the same time, I prefer City to win for sure.
Yeah, I'd like the draw no bet on United is 3.1, which is a good price, and it's difficult not to take that, but I don't see them picking up a win here. I think what they can hope for is a draw.
Yeah.
But the double chance at 2.05 is okay.
Well, the fact that they potentially, I mean, look, I don't think when people talk about people playing for a draw, I don't honestly really think that teams really honestly do that a lot of the time. But, I do think that Solskjaer might play it more cautious. And in that way, the fact that under 2.5 and, both teams not to score is priced so big, that might be, the way to play this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll notch me down for City to win to nil at 3.4, quite a long shot. I think it might have a chance.
Okay, I'll go with United on the double chance then at 2.05. We're at least on opposite sides here. So
Yeah,
I do like City. I do like City in this game, but I just think it's an interesting spot for United. So hopefully hopefully we just get a good game. That's what
yeah,
I'm hoping for. Not the
sure.
usual dull derby, which
Yes.
it kind of has become over the last couple of years. Then another bet I want to highlight is Arsenal versus Watford. I really fancy Arsenal here for my accumulator 1.4. I think they'll beat Watford pretty comfortably. I'd even want to take the -1 handicap on Arsenal here, which is going to be paying 2.15, which is not bad. But I'm going to pop that Arsenal into my accumulator there. I think it's a good spot. I think they're picking up some form as well. So they're
Yes.
going to
No,
be a
look,
team
I
to start
think
backing.
I think they are looking a lot better. I mean, look, at the beginning of the season they were actually absolutely dire, and they certainly seem to be in a much better place now. There is another bet that I like, and it's not the longest odds, but um, uh, Leeds host Leicester on Sunday, and I think Liverpool the only team to have actually shut Leeds out at home so far this season. And Leicester have actually scored at least 2 goals in their last 3 away games. So they're certainly not. They're certainly more than capable of scoring away from home. The both teams to score here is 1.55, which is very short, but I think this
Wow.
game could be well over 3.5 goals. I just prefer backing the both teams to score there. But and generally speaking, when I back these both teams to score bets, there's like, 2 or 3 on each side. So
Yeah.
I fancy this one. The odds are not great, but I think that I really really think it's a very confident pick of mine too. Yeah, both teams to score. Leeds hosting Leicester.
Then we have a bit of a tough one. Should be an interesting match though. Everton versus Spurs. I think two kind of evenly matched sides, and the odds are somewhat reflecting that with Everton. They are favourites. I mean, they are underdogs because it's Everton. But I think those odds should, well, they're not really reflecting it. Actually, I think they're playing on a kind of similar level at the moment. So I think that one's probably going to end in a draw. I don't see Spurs winning it though.
Yeah. Oh,
Very,
fair enough.
very difficult one. And then another interesting match I think is West Ham hosting Liverpool. West Ham heavy underdogs there. Liverpool 1.75. I'm not exactly running to the window to back Liverpool at 1.75 here either.
So you fancy West Ham on the double chance
I
there, or draw no bet
I
or something?
think that would be the way to go.
Mm.
Especially after Liverpool surrender that lead to Brighton.
Yeah.
It is worrying. And I just think those odds, 2.1 on double chance West Ham. I think a good result for West Ham would be a draw here. That would be a
Sure.
bad result for Liverpool. But
Yeah.
West Ham aren't a bad side. They've been playing well. It's just I just can't back Liverpool at that price. So it's more kind of fading Liverpool than actually
Mm,
backing West Ham, if that makes any sense.
sure.
Yeah, so that's the Premier League covered. Unless there's anything else, Chelsea, Burnley, not much going on there. Brentford lost on the weekend. They're playing Norwich. 1.6 against Norwich. Norwich probably the worst
Sure.
side in the Premier League, along with
Yeah,
Newcastle.
sure. I mean that really tells you. I mean, look, obviously, Brentford have look. It was inevitable that their sort of winning streak was gonna come to an end. But I mean, if you think about two teams kind of going in opposite directions in the Premier League, I mean,
Hmm.
for a newly promoted side to be 1.6 against a side that's sort of scraped by last season, it says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then Brighton taking on Newcastle. Brighton heavy favourites there as well. I don't know. I fancy Newcastle could cause an upset there. I'm not going to say back then, but just on the odds alone, it might be worth having a stab. I think.
Yeah. Oh, they are the best. I mean, I think there was. I'm going back quite a few years now, but I remember reading an article written by someone on Betfair, and for 2 years running, I think it was like 2015-16 and the 2016-17 season, that Newcastle were the most profitable team to bet as underdogs in the whole Premier League by quite a way, actually. So if you just put, $10 every
Hmm.
time they were an underdog, you would end up with more money than you would any other team in the league, 2 years running. So yeah, they're team who do pull it out the bag when it's least expected.
Yeah, so I'm not saying go bet on them, but I think that's a nice spot for Newcastle to, and maybe a
Mm,
value bet over there. Even though they just trash at the moment, it is
yeah.
Brighton, and I'm not reading too much into Brighton pulling back against Liverpool. I think Liverpool got complacent there, but still big result for them. Then there's some F1 coming up this weekend in Mexico, Simon.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're
Yeah,
excited
this
about that.
is yeah, it is. Actually, this is a fun one. It's actually one of the oldest races on the circuit. Goes back to the 1960s, but it's quite a short track. So the races do 71 laps in total, but it's also the highest track in terms of altitude by quite some distance. So what that means is, there's a lot of downforce on F1 cars when they're racing around the track, and this downforce is minimized quite a bit because of the altitude. Because you imagine the air is thinner, so
Hmm.
what that causes is the cars to slide around quite a bit. So you inevitably see, if not accidents, quite a lot of slipping and sliding, which can causes a lot of can make watching the race quite fun. The weather here is also quite unpredictable. It can often just sort of go from sunshine to rain quite quickly. So drivers have to be pretty adaptable to whatever conditions kind of get thrown at them in Mexico. Um, yeah, looking at the history of this race, I mean, it didn't happen last year because of COVID. The year before, Hamilton won. He's actually the biggest underdog we've seen him this
Yes,
season
massive, eh?
against Verstappen. But at the same time, you're only getting even money on Hamilton. So
Even
it's not
money.
it's
I'm seeing a 2.75 here for the
saying
win.
a 2.75.
Yeah.
Is that not in qualifying?
No, that's for the winner.
Oh wow, I thought that was a mistake.
I'm seeing for the first practice we've got him at 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Qualification winner, he's 2 to 1. Verstappen's 1.67.
Oh, there we go.
I
It's it
mean,
was it was obviously it was obviously an error. I was actually looking at the odds over on bet.co.za, and I think there must have been a
hmm,
mistake. I thought so. It looked too small, and I thought they might have just pushed up the prices on the other drivers, just sort of moved the margin further down the odds board. But yeah, so that makes a lot more sense. I mean, you can actually get him at about 2 to 1, Hamilton,
yeah, crazy.
if you look around. So yeah, much bigger price. But yeah, so I mean, look, I have a feeling Max Verstappen will get the job done. He'll probably qualify faster. But as a sort of fun bet, I like Sergio Perez at 14s. This will be his home race. I don't know if any of our listeners have ever seen him race in Mexico, but I mean, he's like a god. He really is. He's like Kohli in cricket in India. He gets as much support, if not more, than Hamilton and Verstappen in their home races. So he really is seen as a massive hero. So I just if you look at the odds, I mean, he's actually favored ahead of Bottas, which is very unusual, and that's just because of the fact that you'll have so much home support. But yeah, so I would love to see him win this one. So look, it's obviously a long shot, but I like Sergio Perez 14 to 1 to win the Mexican Grand Prix.
I fancy Hamilton top three finish at 1.4 for my accumulator. It's not the best odds, but
Okay,
surely it's
no,
going to be
that's
up there.
sure, sure.
And that brings the total odds on my accumulator to 3.7. So we've got South Africa here, we've got India to beat Afghanistan, we've got Liverpool drawn a bet against Atletico, we've got Arsenal to beat Watford, we've got Hamilton to finish in the top three. I think that's a nice little, what's that,
That's
five
great.
legs. Let's see how much. Let's put 400 on that. Yeah, 400 is going to return just under 1.5k. So I'm going to put that one through. I see the odds on South Africa have shortened though while we've been doing the podcast.
That'll be a nice one to follow. I think it's got a good chance.
Yeah, yeah. Our last one came in as well. That one that nice accumulator that I took on the cricket.
It did, yes. And then we had that 50, but unfortunately, all the two legs came in on Chelsea and on South Africa beating West Indies. But of course, United didn't draw with Spurs. They lost 3-0, so that was the end of that one.
It was a speculative bet, and it was a runner. So
it was a runner.
Then there's some rugby coming up, Simon. We've got South Africa Wales taking on South Africa. Wales are heavy underdogs here. South Africa's 1.3.
Well, yeah. I mean, you say heavy underdogs. I must say, I was actually quite surprised by that. I was expecting it to be 9-10 points. I mean, look, this is South Africa's first match since beating the All Blacks on Kiwi soil, which I think everyone will remember. It's a friendly, of course, but I think 7 points is a little bit flattering to the Welsh. Look, I don't want to read too much into them getting hammered by the All Blacks. They always do. But, this match will obviously be preparation for our test against Scotland next week in the autumn series. So, yeah, look, I think 7 points it's a friendly, so it's never worth putting down any big stakes on this. But I think 7 points is not quite enough here. I would back South Africa on -7 quite comfortably here, and I think that if we look at this as a proper warm up for the Scotland game, I think we'll cover the handicap quite comfortably.
I'm not sure what to call on this game. I kind of like the +7.5 on Wales, but I'm not confident at all to take a bet on it. I think South Africa do win this one, but Wales can be a little bit tricky, although they have,
absolutely.
They have seen a decline recently.
I mean, the last time we played them was obviously in the semi-final of the World Cup, and that was a 2-point game. I think we won 17-19.
I think
we won 19-17.
I think a nice bet here is South Africa 1-12. I think I might have a little stab on that one. I think that one might be a bit of a run.
So what is that, about 15-10 or?
Getting 2.24. So the odds aren't amazing, but I still think it's decent value.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that in an accumulator, and I'm going to probably pop in. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got Scotland against Australia. Australia should pick that one up quite easily. So I think I'll take South Africa 1-12 and Australia to beat Scotland in my second bet. I'm not going to put as much on this one. I'm going to put $180. It's going to return 637 plus a little accumulator bonus from GBet. So it's about $650 return from $180. Quite a speculative bet on that 1-12, but hopefully that one comes in, and then I think we can we'll both be happy then, because the handicap can be covered.
Right. There we go. Yeah, we can both be winners.
Yeah, and I think that's it for this week's podcast. Simon, before we end, you've been checking out the pragmatic play slots on Superbets. We did a live stream and posted up a video about it as well. What are your thoughts? You did an article in Betting Guide, you played around a bit.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, there are so many of them too. They really cover a variety of different themes and bonuses and pay lines, and so really, no matter what kind of slots play you are and what sort of piques your interest, I think you'll find something that suits you. I mean, they've got really great graphics, awesome sound effects, and as I said, there are lots of cool features to in them too. So I must say, I really enjoy playing them. They're good fun.
Yeah, fantastic slots. I had a lot of fun playing them over the weekend. I see there's a lot of other games as well over on Superbets. They've got these YGG Drazzle, and I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. I don't know why they would call those the YGG Drazzle. Such not a tongue twister, but I mean, just call them YGG or something.
Sounds like a coding language or something.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't sound very appealing, to be honest. But those slots were quite interesting. They had like video intros on them, and it was almost like a spectacle.
Yes, it is. It's kind of got a. You sort of feel a bit like you're playing a computer game more than you're playing a slot machine.
Yeah, and it's a big step up from the Habanero Spinner Zonker kind of slots. So hopefully we see these coming out at more bookmakers. It'd be interesting to see if Hollywood Bets, for example, get something like the pragmatic play slots, because I'd be interested to see how much of or how many of the spinner zonke players would kind of transfer
Yes.
over to that or migrate over
Yes.
to those slots, just because they are far superior.
Yeah.
Even though the spinner zonke slots do have their own little set of charms, but there's so many shitty games on spinner zonke.
Sure, and I mean the what I really like about the pragmatic player ones as well is the sort of intro screen. So where you don't just see the pay table, you actually see a little, not on every single one, I don't think, but on most of them, where it tells you, pretty much how to play. And also
The
just also really,
volatility, like, is
yes,
also quite
exactly.
nice.
Yes, well, that's the screen I'm talking about, yeah. And also they are fantastic on mobile as well. So obviously, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Habanero on mobile, but pragmatic play also great to play on your phone.
Yeah, it makes much more use of your screen on mobile, whereas the
Mm,
Habanero games, they take up, like, I
that's
want to say
right.
about half of the screen, whereas these take up
Yes.
much more real estate. So yeah, it's a lot more. I don't know what's the word. Not engaging. It's immersive in that sense.
Yes, that's right.
But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning into this episode. We'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully, we have a good betting weekend. I think the biggest one's going to be the Man United derby. Simon's fancying City. I fancy United in the draw. Let's see what happens next week. So, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one. Cheers.